Okay, I'm going to start off saying a Maisa, but everything we're talking about now is going to be B'nei Geya, Dalet Parshiyos, Mishenichnas Adar, Marvin B'Simcha, and B'nei Geya Parshas Shkolim, and all these other things. But the first to start off, that Rabbani Shloim, as you know, he runs the world in such a way that what we think is abstract and nothing is really a major something. I'll just give you a mushal of that. You know that there's a mitzvah called Avida. So Avida is a mitzvah. It's a logical mitzvah. You don't need a grace of Torah to say it, right? Somebody lost something, you do the right thing and you give it back to them. But it doesn't only go on physical things, it also goes on neshamas. So the thing of Avida on a neshama, the mushal. So in Eretz Yisrael, the soldiers, they have a minhag that after they finish the years of the army, you have the kibbutzniks, and they go to the army, and when they finish their time in the army, then they go soul searching, because they didn't have any shaykhs to Yiddishkeit, because the Haredim are worse than the Arabs in their eyes. So what they do is, they go to India and to Nepal, and they do soul searching there. And sometimes they find things that they shouldn't, and sometimes they find their soul. So anyway, there was this one Chayal, I don't know what the lady Chayal is called, a lady soldier. So she finished her college and she finished everything she needed to do, and she had to go discover the world because she wasn't satisfied living in the kibbutz, picking bananas all day long, so she needed to go find herself. So she went on a trip, and she went to India, and when she went on the trip, she had zero shaykhs with her parents. Like, they thought she was gone forever. She stopped calling, she stopped writing, there had no shaykhs, they thought she was gone. This family was not a frum family, but they had one brother who went through a similar thing, but then he came back, he became a Baal Tshuva. So anyways, this girl, so she went traveling all over, they didn't know where she was or anything like that. So this brother who had become frum, he decided he's going to go look for her, see where she went. Because they thought she was dead, they didn't know where she was. So he got the blessing of his parents, and he went out to look for her. So he went in mamish the boondocks of the lowest places in India where all kinds of funny people live. And he meets his sister, and meeting this, he finds out what she's doing, and she says, "Oh, you can't imagine, I found the most wonderful person in the world and the greatest group of people you could ever imagine." Lamaisa, she got involved in some Meshuggah cult, and there was a big Shvatzer guru who was the head of the cult, and she was engaged to marry the Shvatzer, the head of the cult. Rachmana litzlan. So anyways, so he tried to talk her out of it, and of course, once they get fakayf, there's no talking to them. So he couldn't talk her out of it, but he told her one thing. He said, "Listen, our parents spent a lot of money bringing you up and sending you to college and giving you education and feeding you and dressing you. At least you owe them to go back and explain to them and tell them where you are, that you're okay. Just walked off the face of the earth and no shaykhs to anything." So she was masking. She said she'll come back. So she went back with him. And she went back to Eretz Yisrael, and she sat down with her parents, and she explained the whole thing to them, that she's like, Fakayf, the most wonderful people in the world, the cult is the greatest people, and the guru is the greatest guy, and he's a, Ben Hashem, or whatever he is. And she's going back, and nothing to talk about. L'maisa, the brother one day decided, he tells his sister, "Let's go out for lunch, and then, you'll go back to your old life, but let's go have lunch." So they went for lunch. Meantime, the brother made an arrangement with the Rav of the local shul that when he goes out for lunch with his sister, so they'll get stuck there, and it'll come time Mincha Ma'ariv, and he'll have to go into the shul, and then there's always a little speech between Mincha Ma'ariv, and then he arranged with the Rav that he'll make a speech, and they'll give such a fiery speech that this girl will hear the speech, and she'll want to be chayzer b'tshuva. That was the plan. So they went for lunch, and came time for Mincha Ma'ariv. He says, "Do me a favor, sister, come walk me to the shul, because you have no place to go anyways. Sit in the ladies section, nobody's going to see anything, just sit there." So they came there, they came to the shul for Mincha Ma'ariv. The brother's looking around. Where's the Rav that he made this plan with? Didn't show up that day. The Rav didn't come. And so between Mulchamayim, somebody had to speak. So some guy, guy, he took out a Kitzur Shulchan Aruch and he read the halacha of the day. Halacha of the day was that there's a mitzvah of Hashavas Haveda. That if somebody loses something, there's a mitzvah of Hashavas Haveda. And he said, Agav, sometimes Rabbeinu Shlomo makes it that a person loses something, not because the Rebbeinu Shlomo wanted him to lose it, so someone else should find it and he should get a mitzvah for it. That was just Agav. She heard the drasha, nothing inspiring, didn't talk to her anything, nothing happened. Maisa, she went back, and then she told her parents, I'm packing up, I'm probably never going to see you ever again in my life. And she said a nice goodbye, she's going to marry her Shvatza Guru, end of the story. So, Kitzur, she gets there, and she packs up, she goes back to India, everything's fine. They don't hear from her for 2 years. 2 years later, she calls up and she says, I'm on the plane coming home, I'm done with my guru, and I'm coming back home. So she came home, and they made a huge party, the celebration, the daughter came back. So she gets up at a party, and she says, let me tell you what happened. She says, I was walking with the guru, we were taking a walk. And while we were taking a walk, we found a wallet, a pocketbook of a lady. And in that pocketbook was tons of cash. It was like some lady on tour. She had a lot of cash, and she had all her passports and all her IDs and everything else. And the guru says, look what Hashem sent, not Hashem, whatever, look what they sent me from upstairs, because I'm a blessed child, and I'm son of God, and therefore he sent me such a great present, a pocketbook with tons of money and everything else. So the girl says to him, what do you mean? You have the lady's ID, you know what she is, call her up, tell her she lost it, she was going very, he says, no, you can't give it to her, it's all for me, because it was meant for me, and that's why it fell to me. And then she remembered this guy in the shul in Eretz Yisrael said that sometimes the Rebbeinu Shlomo makes people lose things in order that someone should find it and return it. And she argued with him, and he said, B'shum panav v'ofen, it's mine, it's coming to me. She saw this, she got turned off. She says, this is not for me. It's like, I hear that, and by the Yid in them, it's to return it. And the only reason the lady lost it was to return it. So she went back, and that's how she came back, was Chayz B'tshuva, everything was good. An Aveda can be in a Neshama as well. And the mitzvah of Hashavas Aveda, you see that the mitzvah of Hashavas Aveda, Reishlan put the mitzvah in the Bria in order that it should be Chal. We don't know when, we don't know where, but it'll be Chal. On that note, we know that Mishanichnas Adar Marvin B'Simcha. Right? What's Simcha? As you know, Simcha is... I see is Chamisha, and Chamisha is a reference to Chamisha Chumshei Torah, and Mishanichnas Adam Marvin Simcha obviously means that we should learn more Torah, because that's the ultimate Simcha, right? And from eating another bowl of cholent, that's not an ultimate Simcha, right? And Raya L'Davar is, because La'asid Lava is going to come as Sudas Arishel of Yasan, they're not serving cholent or lax and cream cheese, because we think coming from the Yasan is a grace of fish. Doesn't work that way. Right? So it's Avada, it's all Torah, and that's on the same note, Mishanichnas Av Ma'atin B'Simcha, because there's less Torah, because there's one day in the month that you're not supposed to learn. So that's why it's Ma'atin B'Simcha. And you know that this coming up now, as we are in the season of Dalet Pashiyas. So I was thinking, Torah made us a thing, Dalet Pashiyas. Why is there such a thing of Dalet Pashiyas? Why dafka these? Why dafka Shkolim, Zachar, Bara, Chodesh? What's the Inyan? After I thought of it, I said it up to people. I saw it afterwards in Erev Yisrael, and what was like this: in the Bria, the Rebbeinu Shlomo created a Bria. What's the first thing that he created in the Bria was a thing called maskala. What's a maskala? You spoke about it yesterday. Maskala is a mishkal, is a scale. In Aramish, a maskala it's called a maskala. In Hebrew, it's called a mishkal, is a scale. First thing in the Bria was mishkal. Why? Because we're coming up to Pesach. Pesach is the Leda of Klal Yisrael, and the Iker Tachlis HaBria was for Klal Yisrael. So in other words, we're emulating the Bria, the B'Haschalas HaBria, because it's coming up again Pesach time. So the first thing that came was Maskala, which is Mishkal, which is Parshas Shkolim. Right, that's the first. What comes after the Mishkal? Right, it comes Abba Ima, right, Chachma Bina. What's Parshas Zachar? Zachar, which is Abba, which is Tzad Yamin, right? So that's the second thing. That's the Moichin, as we know, and that's the second parsha of the Dalet Parshiyos. What's number 3 is Parshas Para, which we know is Keneged Par Dinim, which is Keneged Din, right? The Mansbach is the Par Dinim, which is Mitzada Ima. So this is the Seder Habriya, Maskala, Abba, Ima, Yamin, Smile, right? So you see, in these parshiyos, you have the Zachar, which is Tzad Yamin, the Para, which is Tzad Smile, and then what's the last one? Which is Chaydesh, which is Al Shem La'asid Lavai, Parshas HaChaydesh, that's V'nissen Nigalu, V'nissen Asid Lehigoyel, is a reference to the Chodesh that's coming, right? So that's, and some people are more into V'nissen Nigalu, so sometimes, then of course you have to be, wait for Mashiach, the whole time, that he's going to be Goyel us at any given time. So, that's why you have the Dalet Parshiyos right before Chodesh Nisan, and that's why it's that Seder of those Dalet Parshiyos. I saw in Yisrael, he says, Kemat the same thing, and then to that I said, Baruch Shekivanti. And also, since we know that the whole Yontif of Purim is really Al Shem HaAsid, because it's the only Yontif that sticks around, has Nitzchi to it, it's not bottle. So it is why Maskala, because it's the connection of Shamayim Va'aretz, because it was a Nes Al Pi Teva, and it's also the only one that's going to stick around La'asid Lavei. So there you see the Olam Hazeh in the Teva, and the Olam Haba in the Nitzchi. So Purim is what we call straddling both Elamas, and that's why there's so many things in Purim that are showing you that extra simcha, the extra ha'ara that comes down, which we know, and you'll see when you start learning Kavanas, that what's the Ikka Maila of Purim? The Ikka Maila of Purim is that you're getting everything direct from Yesod Abba, right? And it's like passing through the Zah, going straight out the Nukva, and it's coming down straight to us. That's why it's called a Peshet Yad Noisen Lai. Why? Because in the Olam of Chachma, in the Olam Esel Yainim, which is Chachma, which is Meichin, it's an Olam of Kulei Taiv, and there is no rejection. In other words, you ask and you get. That's Pshat Kol HaPeshet. Yad Noisen Lai. You don't have to come on to the balance. So, I'm talking about it as a hachana for Purim, but I'm also talking about that Purim is really mashpia after ganze Welt. As you know, that Purim is really also, it's Yom Kippurim, and you have a balance, Ben Ish Chai says there's a balance between the Eineg of Purim and the Inoy of Yom Kippur. And I said this over here during the week, that Inoy is, how do you spell Inoy? Ayin Vav Yud. Separate, which, as you know, in Kabbalah terms is Olam, Rishos Hayachid. And the Vav and the Yud are separate. Right? That's in the Inoy. I'm sorry, it's Olam HaPirut, which is what we call Rishos HaRabim. And the Eineg with a Vav and the Yud and one ice, because the Gimel is made up of a Vav and a Yud, so the Inyan of Eineg. So you see the separation between Yom Kippur and Purim. One is Mitzad the Inoy and one is Mitzad the Eineg. And we should be Zoicher, the same Kapara we get Yom Kippur, we should get it by Purim, but on Yom Kippur it has to come through Inoy, and in Purim it has to come through Eineg.